Hello and welcome to Mike's Basement. I'm Michael and this is Farming Simulator 19, or for short just FS19. Again, you can hear my voice very clear and very loud, and that is because, just like I told you in the previous video, if you've seen it now, if you haven't, then go see it, of my latest gameplay of Euro Truck Simulator 2. I have simply gotten my microphone, my Blue Yeti, on a boom arm. That is a microphone stand with a boom arm, and this means that I can get my microphone nice and close to my mouth without being in the way of, well, just about anything. And also, you shouldn't be able to hear my steering wheel almost at all. But let's pick up where we were left the last time. It's been a while since I played it, so I can certainly just guess that since the big tractor with the plow is standing here, then the idea must be that I wanted to plow. So let's see if we can get it right. Let's see if I can take it out to the... Well, that's not exactly what I wanted, but let me see if I can shift it around while I drive, and then set the... Whoa! Let's just align it a little bit, that should be it, and then let's drive back. So yes, the idea here is that I want to, well, as you probably can imagine from the last episode, there was a little problem with Stevie. Well, that's not a problem, but, well, it became a problem, but it's a good thing. I know I'm babbling. With Stevie updating the map, which means that it was a big update, so we had to redo our... Let me see if I've set it to allow crate fields. No, it's should be good enough. Yes. So in the last episode, you can probably remember, I certainly hope you can, that we had a little problem that this map was updated by Stevie, and that simply means that because it was a big update, we needed to redo the, essentially I had to delete the gameplay, the save files, and then make a new game. And the last time I did this on this map, again, because Stevie had made a wonderful update, corrected a lot of errors and fixed a lot of bugs. It just like then, it again meant that I had to delete the save games and then start over. But contrary to last time, where I just did the things and tried to catch up to where I left you in the last episode, I thought that I could just take you on that. I'm not sure what to call it, a trip, but through the thought process I did for myself, playing on the on my non-YouTube farm, my private farm. So the thing is, let me just say it right away, that my wife has changed her schedule on her work, so that she is she's on reduced time. I think she's not complete part-time, but it's something of the sorts. This also means essentially that she has a lot of spare time. Now she tries to fill that spare time out with... Sorry, yes, I just had to I forgot that I have ordered groceries, so I just had to take care of those and receive them. But the thing is that this means that my wife is more at home than she usually is. And, well, that's not something I want to complain about, but it just means that the time I can spend on making videos, well, that certainly is a little bit reduced. Mainly because, well, it's not the issue that she's here, of course, that's not a problem. And she knows that I make these videos, so it's not like it's sort of a big secret that I don't want to reveal for her. But generally she likes to watch the television, preferably very loud television. And just so you know it right now, I have a little cat running around and playing with a little mouse down at the legs of my boom arm. So if you can hear sort of a little bump on the microphone, that is simply the sound of cat playing. She certainly has a lot of fun. But nevertheless, yes, that means that she's a lot here. It also means that she tends to annoy me at some point. You have probably, if you have followed my videos and seen all of my videos here at Fenton Forest, you will know that I have put in sort of, I call it crazy wife transition, because she went to my microphone and began to sing while I was talking. So yeah. That means that it will put a little damper on the number of videos that I can put out. I prefer, one thing is that I prefer to make my videos at night time. That is simply because the way I'm a bee person, if that expression exists in English, in America and Britain and so on. So I'm mostly active at night. No, I'm not a vampire, nor am I a werewolf. I'm just mostly active at night, just like the cats. The thing is that my wife is extremely sensitive regarding sounds. I sort of joke that she would literally be able to hear a mouse sneeze in the other end of the country. And while that is, of course, a little excessive, a little over the top, I mean what I say, that she's very, very noise sensitive. And this also means, unfortunately, that the chance of me being able to make a video at nighttime is very limited. She has often come into the living room where I make my videos from the bedroom and told me that I should stop singing or stop talking or something like that. So it's quite hard for me to make these videos at nighttime where I actually prefer making them. So I am unfortunately limited to daytime, which is it is now. It is 14:53. That is it's 2:45 p.m. So yeah. All right. So well, that's sort of a little talk about the way I make these videos. But I try to well. I digress. Once again, I'm tired. I'm sorry. The thing is, what I wanted to say is that's the reason why I've been away from this game a lot. Also, we had some issues with my son. I'm not sure if I've told you this, those of you who follow my channel, but my son has recently might be stretching it a little bit, because it is a year ago he was diagnosed with in Denmark we call it infantile autism, but it's a bit of a misnomer, because it has absolutely nothing to do with being infantile. It simply means that it's sort of an expression to say whenever when the symptoms were probably, oh, that was a loud plosive, when the symptoms was probably noticed the first time, And in Denmark, it is so that if the symptoms were noticed before the child had turned 3, or, well, actually, I think it's before the child has turned 4, but from 3 and down after. And that was the case with our son. The way that we described it for the psychologist and the psychiatrist, and also the way we described how the daycare center, the daycare had described him, the problems that he had, the difficulties that he had. He was diagnosed with that kind of autism, where you say that the symptoms were shown before the age of 3, and so that's a diagnosis that he has. And you could ask yourself, what has changed? Well, what has changed is our knowledge about our son, and that's it. But other than that, nothing really has changed. But the difficulties, well, they of course remain the same, and they are definitely apparent. For example, yesterday, in Denmark, we have sort of a tradition where we give what we call well, if I had to translate it directly, it would be a package calendar, but that seems a little bit strange. But the idea is that you take a calendar in the Christmas period from 1 to 24, and then you put a little package on it every day. Now, the thing is with these small packages is that it is relatively small gifts, and they are usually completely useless also for the children. They are funny the first 5 seconds they have them, and then they are put in a drawer and never to be used again. So we have sort of replaced that tradition with a more sensible tradition, where instead of giving a package every day, we give a package. Let me just see if I can. No, we give a package every Sunday until it is, well, not until, but until we have Christmas Eve. So that means that there are 4 Sundays. In Denmark, we call it Sundays in Advent. I'm not sure what you would call it, if you even have that kind of marking in the US and Britain and so on. But it simply means that the idea is that it comes from the fact that you have a little calendar with 4 lights, and so on the first Sunday before Christmas, you put in you light the first candle, and then on the second Sunday, you light the second and also the first. And then you go forward until it is the 4th Sunday, and that is usually the day we have Christmas Eve, or, well, relatively close to Christmas Eve. And so for the children, since they are not content with lighting candles alone, they get small presents. But those presents, of course, are bigger than the ones you would receive if you had one present every day. But let's get back to what so happened. My parents, that is my son's grandparents, they have bought him 2 presents. And just like tradition dictates, I'm not a stickler for tradition, by the way, so don't get me wrong on that. Well, don't get me right, depending on what your favorite is. But nevertheless, he got that present yesterday, and because it was, he actually said, because my parents have given us 2 presents, and they will give us the remaining 2 presents at a later time. He actually said, when he took the present up, so I took the 2 presents, and then both presented him and his little sister with the option to choose the gift they wanted to open. And so he actually said before he opened it that he would be disappointed if it was close. And I guess he sort of actually knew that it would be something like that, because he sort of groped the present to try to figure out what it was. And well, not surprisingly, surprisingly to my wife and I, because we really didn't know what was in the present, but I don't think it was really surprising for him, but he learned that it was a pair of pants. And he had, to put it mildly, a complete and utter meltdown. I mean, the screaming, shouting, biting, clawing, kicking, all of it at the same time. He had a complete and utter meltdown over the pair of pants, and he threatened everything and everyone around him, and well, to say the least, it was not very nice to bear witness to and be in the midst of. But this was not sort of an attempt to try to deliver my sort of the head of my kid on a plate for you, but it was more a way of saying that one of the reasons that I have had some trouble putting out videos here on YouTube lately also has been because of him, because he has had a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges getting up in the morning and getting to bed at night and being in school and all those things, even though he's going on he's attending a school now more suitable for his kind of with a child with his challenges, difficulties. He still has a lot of it's still difficult for him to go to school. So that is why, and fairly enough, because my wife is the one who for now, I hope so, brings the bacon. I am the one that takes care of the kids and gets them ready for school and ready for daycare and all those things. And not that I mind it, I really don't. I sort of found what I would call a good routine. But I must admit, it does take a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get him out of the door every morning. First of all, because sometimes he has a hard time falling asleep, which means he's awake until it's 10 or 11 p.m. or something like that, which is way past his normal bedtime. Well, he is in bed, but he's just not asleep. And for that reason, and also just generally, he has a hard time getting up in the morning, and that means that, his morning routines are that he gets up and he puts on clothes, and then he eats breakfast and brushes his teeth and all those things, and put on clothes and then go out of the door. The thing is that because he's at this, we call it a special school in Denmark, but you could also call it a special care school or something like that. The idea is that it's not a special school in that sense, but it is a school for children with non-neurotypical challenges, for example, like autism, but also ADHD and all those things, all those kind of similar diagnosis. And because he is on such a school where children comes from all over the capital, the cities and also the minor cities around Copenhagen, they have an offer that the kids can be picked up by taxi every morning. And that means that he has to be ready sort of something like 7:40. He should be able to, he should be ready to go out of the door roughly 7:40, that is 10 minutes to 8 a.m. every morning. But as you can probably hear on the way I say things, this is not always the case. Well, it's actually the last couple of weeks, it has been it has been rarely actually the case. So the thing is that I try to wake him at 5 minutes to 7:15. And then I find all the clothes that he needs, so he just has to put it on. It can take him anywhere from 15 minutes to 20 minutes before he is actually ready to wake up. He's awake. That means that he is finished with his clothes somewhere between 7:30 and 7:35. And as you can probably guess by now, 7:35 and being ready, 7:40. Well, that is not a heck of a lot of time to eat your breakfast, brush your teeth, put on your shoes and your jacket, pick up your your bag, and then go to school. And actually, he just has to go down the stairs and get on the taxi. But nevertheless, you can probably imagine that's not a lot of time for doing that. Which means that at sometimes he just simply misses the taxi, which means that I have to wake up his little sister, slap some clothes on her, and then put her in the car and drive him to the to school, or otherwise he just has to stay at home. Also because in those cases he just plainly says that he doesn't want to go to school. So since that has been the challenges the last couple of weeks, and also of course, not that I complain about that. Well, I do complain about the situation, but I don't complain about that I have to make my son my primary priority. Of course I have to do that. But other than the fact that it makes it harder for me to make videos for YouTube, which I enjoy doing, both the recording part, well, the gaming part like this, but also the editing part. Other than that, it takes its toll having to deal with these discussions every single day. And it is depending on which mood he's in, it can be 2 to 5 times a day. We have to discuss simple things like whether he has to go to bed, whether he has to brush his teeth, whether he has to get up at the morning, whether he has to put on clothes, all those things. That certainly takes its toll on your mind. And also, so when the day is over and the morning is over, and I have sent the children to school, and sent him to school and delivered put my little girl into daycare. Sometimes I just lie on my bed, turn on the television, and fall asleep. And then I sleep steadfastly until it could be 12, 1 p.m., something like that. Simply because I'm exhausted by having to deal with these discussions all the time. So I hope that you can sort of find it in yourself, those of you who follow me, to sort of get an understanding for why I put out videos sort of non-regularly these last couple of weeks, perhaps the last month or so. This is the reason why. I try to overcome it, but sometimes it's simply just not possible. And it annoys me in several ways. First of all, because I know that having a schedule and sticking to that schedule and trying to sort of, when I don't have a day job, then I try to make this my day job. I know this is a bit silly because, well, a day job you get paid, and I certainly don't get paid by playing games and putting them out on YouTube. But nevertheless, I try to sort of keeping myself to sort of a work-like schedule, because not at least it will give me sort of the same sense of duty when I actually find myself a new job. And also because, like I've said a couple of times, I really enjoy not only playing these games, I certainly enjoy it, but also I enjoy making these videos and sending them out to you. And while it is actually, I'm not sure how to put it, I am here to get followers in a sort of a sense. I guess I could say that my motivation or my MO is the same as miniwargaming.com. If you go and watch some of Matthew's videos, I watch Mini Wargaming, so that's the reason why I know his name. He says that he really wants people to join the Mini Wargaming Vault because it will help them, but he only wants people to join the vault because they like the content and not because they want to support them or think it's to feel pity for them or anything like that. And I guess my motivation for being on YouTube is sort of the same. You could say it gives me a personal satisfaction to see my videos thrive. So to see that I get more views and more followers, that gives me a personal satisfaction that I'm very happy about, because it also motivates me to make more stuff. It's even though whether you get paid or don't get paid for doing things, if you can feel that the people you do it for, they like what you do, then you of course gets motivated to do more of that. And that is exactly the same for me with my videos here on YouTube, that the more people that begin to follow me and the more views I get, on my videos, well, that certainly motivates me to keep on going. I will keep on going because nonetheless, because it's not really problematic for me to make videos like this, and I also enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of the process from playing the games, obviously. Otherwise it would be silly of me to do something. Certainly it takes the most part of the time. That is certainly recording the games. That is because you have to do that in real time. It's like some people, I'm going to digress now, so if you don't want to hear it, you can just fast forward a little bit or something like that. I constantly have to remind myself when I'm out with my own telescope or using itelescope.com, at the telescope at itelescopes.com. Sorry. Using the telescopes at itelescope.com. I have to constantly remind myself that the only way to get 4 hours of recording of a given object is to record for 4 hours. You can't just cheat or fast forward or anything like that. And the same applies when you record a game. The only way you can record a game for 1 hour, half an hour, whatever it is to sit and play that game for half an hour. Of course, you can start up the game, start up the video, and then just leave the computer, and then you have a video where nothing at all happens. But in order to record a game for half an hour, you have to play for half an hour if you want to record the gameplay, that is. And that's the thing. So the most time it takes is definitely playing the game. So if I didn't enjoy playing the games, it would be stupid doing this. It was just so like that. So obviously I enjoy playing the games, but I also enjoy editing the videos. I'm not sure why. It just appeals to me in some sense to be creative in that sense. I'm not very creative with my hands. I can paint miniatures, like I believe I told you recently that I have been lured by my son into the hobby of Warhammer 40k, and I have found out that I'm actually, not to brag, but honestly, I can show you pictures of them if you want, or make a little video of us painting, of me painting. But I must admit that I believe for myself that I am okay at painting these miniatures, these little figures. I can get the details correctly, and I try to sort of develop my skills in general and painting. But other than that, painting a picture or drawing or something like that, I'm terrible at it. Just plainly terrible. I don't have sort of a sense for drawing. If sort of people can sort of imagine in their head what a three-dimensional room or setting will be, and then they can sort of express that setting in on a piece of paper, and they can also sort of express the shadows. They have sort of an intuitive understanding of where shadows should be when you draw them, and I have none of that whatsoever. But being creative with computers where there's not a demand that you should be able to do something particularly with your hands, or have to sort of imagine things in your head that you should then put out on a piece of paper, that is just right up my alley. And that, I guess, is the main reason I like being creative, for example, making videos. So, well, yeah. If you want to put it in the short way, it is simply because it's something I know how to do. I've found out. And the same goes with programming or something like that. I'm not sure. I guess I have sort of a knack for computers in some sense. So, and finally, of course, uploading them and giving them a title, that's the least part of it. It takes a little bit of time to upload them, but I really don't have to be present at the computer for doing it, so that's not really an issue for me. But yeah, so I enjoy every bit of the process of making these videos, and that is why even if I didn't have more than 2 followers and 2 views per video, I would still do it. Sadly, I must admit that the videos that have gotten the most attention of mine are the flat earth ones, and I really don't mind debating flat earthers. I don't mind taking up postulates or videos by flat earthers and then completely try to rip them apart. I don't mind doing that, because otherwise I wouldn't have started in the first place. But I have found, I've been a member of the big international Facebook group, Flat Earth Society, I think it's called. And I have also been a member of numerous flat earth groups here in Denmark. And I must admit that I have made sort of I think it's too bad, but I have made that discovery. The dialogue between flat earthers and non-flat earthers is generally not doable. And I suspect that the reason is that flat earthers have sort of I wouldn't call it a script that they follow, because not all of them does that. But I would say that it seems that they sort of... Well, let me put it this way. I'm a physicist, right? I know how to deal with the scientific method. I have made numerous experiments and wrote reports and assignments and all that jazz at the university. So I would argue that I have sort of a good understanding on how science works. And the thing is that flat earthers tend to claim that they have the same knowledge, that they use the same methods, but every time they stumble upon something that they cannot explain, they argue that it is fake. Hello and welcome back. I just had to open the door for my son. He's here now. So if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, that is him. But in order to make a long story, I guess it is short, I really enjoy making these videos. And that also means that I had to put in the effort of doing it. But just like anyone else doing anything else of any kind, I also like getting the personal recognition that people enjoy what I make, obviously. Why make something like this if people tend to think that it's crap anyway? So, yeah. I know I've been talking quite a bit on this video. It's been a while since I've been here, so I had a lot on my heart and have unloaded my feelings for you. So now you know why things are for me like they are. But I will say this. Nevertheless, how things are at my home and the home situation and yada yada yada, all that, it has definitely made a difference for me that I now have my microphone on a microphone stand. It makes it so much easier to place the microphone in a good position and still have the ability to move my arms around without bumping the microphone every time. And also, most importantly, you get rid of most of the noise that comes from my steering wheel. You might be able to hear it a little bit in the background. I haven't really watched fully any of the videos that I've made so far. I have a video in the oven cooking for ETS2, but other than that I haven't really gone to any lengths to sort of test how much you can actually hear of the steering wheel when I play. I can tell you this much, that when I use the steering wheel right here, I can hear just a tiny bit of it in my headphones, and that's all. So I hope that the same applies for you. So, now I've spent all of this video talking about myself. Let's talk about the future plans for this farm, because this is what this is all about, right? It's not about me per se. It's just as much about the farm. So the idea is that when we get to early summer, we will buy the cows, but that's the time of year where they usually tend to be cheapest. You can check that out at some point, but I put it on my whiteboard, so I suppose I've meant that it is accurate. Also, the sheeps, we will buy them in early autumn, and the piggies we'll get them at late autumn. Let me see if I can get it all the way around. It's not very easy. Let's move it a little bit. Like that should do it. And let's lower it. So that is simply the plan for this farm. We will sow the fields, we'll plow the fields, we will fertilize the fields, we will spray the fields. If there are any weeds on it, we'll do all those kind of things. But the main objective on this farm is that we will deal with animals. And particularly on this farm here, I think that it is interesting for doing animals, but we can do it on any farms. But I will say with the global company mod, it certainly makes it more interesting to have animals, because you are not stuck with the standard giants, very small equipment that is utterly useless in my opinion for having when you have lots of cows. The mixer wagon, I made my own little sort of mod, simply because I couldn't really stand it. It holds 16,000 liters of food, and if you have, I don't know, 5 cows, 10 cows, something like that, you can definitely do with that amount. But if you have something like 100 cows, 200 cows, you have to, I think I made a video in one of the previous video, I did a more thorough calculation on this for you, but it is something like 11 or 13 rounds you have to do with that wagon in order to feed all your cows. Now definitely you could say you have something to do, but if you add seasons to that as well, and all other kinds of things that you need to do on the farm, I will say it's completely and utter ridiculous that you should do that. Let me see if I can fold it up, and then we need to go and clean it. And that will be the last part I do in this video here, and then I will hopefully see you in the next one. But let's just clean the... Oh, there's more that needs to be cleaned, I guess, so I just parked it there. I'm not sure about that. Let's clean it up. If it can reach. I hope it can reach. No, that was definitely not what I wanted to do. Oh, perhaps if I press the R key instead of the... See how much I can get here. If I press the R key instead of the E key, it can be that I actually grab the hose instead of going into the tractor. There we go, and let's spray this as well. Clean it up. I've also planned that I wanted to buy some counterweights. I haven't done that yet, but that is on the equipment schedule. And also, I'm not sure whether I should make advertises for other videos on this video here, but nevertheless, I am planning on making a video, new series of videos where I play Surviving Mars. Because I am a nerd and an astrophysicist, I think that it is suitable to play a game like that. No, I thought so. We didn't buy any animals yet. And I can... Oh my god, I can see it on the screen. No cows, no pigs, no sheep. That's it. Alright, well, I suppose that's it for now. Nevertheless, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. As always, thumbs ups and subscriptions, they always help me, at least for my personal satisfaction. But nonetheless... Oh, this has changed. Or what? What is this? I can't remember I've put this here. What is this? This looks like a seed maker. Have I put a seed maker here? Let me just... What is it? Control G. No. Fermenting? No? Oh. Oh, yes. I know. I just remembered now that I updated the fermenting silo. So this is the new fermenting silo. It looks definitely different than the other one. It actually looks pretty cool. So I suppose you put in a chaff or whatever it is into here. And then it goes into this machinery here to get fertilized and this. Let me see if the hayloft has changed as well. It didn't update, so I suppose it should be the same. No, that's the same. Or the the hayloft / grass dryer. This is also one of those things I think is so brilliant about the global mod, the global company mod, that you can get a building like this. So it's essentially, I presented it in another video, but just to make it quick, this is essentially a hayloft, but then you have a little drying mechanism here. So you put in wood chips, and then you put in blah 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 here, over here, grass, and then instead of lying the grass, keeping the grass on the floor and drying there, you will simply just let the grass dry in here. So the idea for me is that we will do this as usual. So we'll get the grass going, we will mow it, we'll leave it be, and then if it happens that we have a rainy day before the grass is dried into hay, we'll pick it up, I will pick it up and then put it into this dryer here instead, so that we will always get hay. Now, I know for a fact that in Denmark we do the same thing, both with hay, with grass, but also with crops. So for instance, in this game here, you cannot thrash your crop if it has a certain amount of wetness to it. But in reality, at least in Denmark, you would thrash your harvest, your crops, whether it is wet or not. Well, obviously, if it's too wet that the machine cannot, the harvester cannot harvest it, then obviously you wouldn't thresh it. But you could do the thing where you thresh it, and then you just put it right after you have harvested it. You put it into a similar device like this, a similar building, where you slowly dry it up so that it doesn't rot. And that is one thing I think could be cool if they could implement this in FS19 as well. Preferably by the global company mod, but who knows? Maybe I can make such a mod myself. I'm not sure about that, because then I would also have to change the mechanism of giving you the ability to thresh, whether it is wet or not. Alright, but just like I said, sorry, I just kept on rambling even though I was about to say goodbye. Just like always, subscriptions, thumbs up, they always help me. And I hope to see you in the next episode. Bye bye for now.